Light is a cheerful teenager who has always dreamt of becoming a successful adventurer so that he can give his family a life of luxury. To achieve his goal, he leaves his small village and heads to the city to register as an adventurer. But things are not easy for him. In this world, the goddess created 9 races, and humans are considered the lowest among them. As a result, they are always at the receiving end of racism, and Light experiences that as soon as he steps foot in the city. A beastman adventurer rudely tells him to get off the road, and Light can only apologize, even though he wasn't really blocking his way. Anyway, once he reaches the guild, he registers himself as an adventurer, and the receptionist tells him that newcomers like him receive the F rank initially. She asks if he has a gift that can play a role in his assessment, and Light eagerly affirms. He tells her that his gift is called Unlimited Gacha, and he can basically pull stuff out of his sack. Since explaining is not enough, Light decides to demonstrate and summons his gacha device, which he immediately activates. The gacha rolls out a fork card, and as Light releases the card, a fork materializes on the table. However, the fork is all bent up, and Light panics. He tells the receptionist that things usually work out better and immediately uses his skill a couple of times. But the result is similar. He pulls a rotten apple and a moldy bread, which makes the receptionist convinced that this loser deserves nothing more than F rank. Light gladly receives it and then asks her if there are any jobs he can take right away. The receptionist points him towards the bulletin board where all the easy jobs are posted, but Light gets nervous just upon seeing that. The receptionist realizes that Light is illiterate on top of being a loser. But that part is not a surprise because humans have low literacy rates. She tells him that he can do the basic stuff like carrying rocks and gathering wood, but that pays a lot less than other jobs. Light accepts that, and after a day of working, he manages to get enough money to rent a room. He still needs to rely on his gacha skill for food, but he is confident that he can make it. However, a gang of beastmen has another plan for him, and they stand in his way deliberately so that he bumps into them. Their leader immediately begins yelling at Light for bumping into him and getting his clothes dirty, before taking away his purse. Light panics, asking him to return the money because he won't have a place to stay otherwise. But the wolfman simply punches him away, telling him that he needs to pay for his laundry. The beastmen leave Light lying in a puddle of mud, and everyone who passes by tells him to sleep in the dirty slums with the rest of the humans. Light feels really hopeless at this point, but then suddenly someone stretches a helping hand towards him. He instinctively takes the hand of the pretty elf in front of him, but realizes 1 second later that his own hand was covered in mud. Light falls back, apologizing to the elf for dirtying her hand, but she tells him that it is fine. She assures him that she won't hurt him. But years of racism and discrimination doesn't let him believe that. To prove her point, the elf woman suddenly kneels down and hugs him, and Light is left speechless. Even as the people on the road mock the elf for stooping so low for the sake of a human, she helps Light back on his feet. Behind the elf, there is a group with people from different races, and they introduce themselves as the party named Concord of Tribes. They explain that they are a party formed with one member from each species that the goddess created, and they were missing a human. The beastman Geru introduces himself first, followed by the elf woman Sasha, who tells Light about the rest of their members. There is Drago the Dragonuda, the demon Diablo, the Oni Abaro, the dark elf, the dwarf Nano, and the centaur named Santer. Geru says that they were just looking for a human to complete their party. And then Cyan adds that they created this party to end racism and create a world where everyone is treated equally. Light finds this too good to believe, but he can't pass up on such a wonderful seeming party, and he gladly joins the Concord of Tribes. Soon they start going on adventures, and Light is the weakest link in their team. He needs to be rescued from monsters by Drago and Sasha, who tell him to be more careful as one hit from the monsters will kill him. Light apologizes for his carelessness, but Sasha begins to examine him for injuries while telling him to stay behind them at all times. The rest of the party begins to tease Sasha because she is low-key obsessed with Light and cares about him a lot. And she turns red as she explains that she only sees him as a party member. Light feels useless because he can't do anything apart from carrying the luggage. But Drago tells him that he makes delicious tea and that is good enough for him. Light is really happy to hear this, and he cheerfully follows the team deeper into the dungeon. Soon they come to an open space with only one entry and exit, and the party members look at each other before deciding that this is the perfect place for their plan. Unaware of what the plan is, Light begins preparing to brew tea for everyone when Drago approaches him and tells him that he is being fired from the party. Light can't even process that statement and asks what did he even do to get kicked from the party, and the beastman Garrett tells him that he is being fired because he doesn't do anything. Everyone tells Light how useless and stupid he is, and even Sasha acts disgusted at him. The rest of the party start throwing insults at Light and the human race. Light thinks that this has got to be some kind of prank, but they tell him that no one has got free time to play pranks on a worthless piece of trash like him. He asks why they were behaving so nicely with him till now, and they reply that it was just acting. Drago tells him that their superiors noticed his gift unlimited gacha, and thought that he could be a maestro. That's why they ordered the Concord of Tribes to keep a close eye on him. But once they determined that Light's gift was worthless and he couldn't be a maestro, they gave the signal to dispose of him. Sasha is the one who is most relieved that they no longer have to keep Light around, because if he was actually a maestro, she would have to marry him. And just the thought of that creeps her out. Light can't understand what the word maestro even means. But then Drago says that they have told him more than enough, and they need to finish him off before more adventurers come here. Garu immediately apes Wolverine and draws his metal claws, using them to slice Light's face. Only now does Light realize that he is really in deep trouble, and there is no way out of this problem. In his desperation, he runs away as fast as he can, and the racist bastards laugh at him, saying that they are not going to let him get away. Sasha shoots an arrow through his leg, and as Light falls on the ground and starts screaming. The racist elves say that hearing human screams is like music to their ears. Garu decides to make Light scream some more and begins assaulting him, but Drago tells him to stop because they need to make it look like the human died from a monster ambush. Garu obeys his orders and gets ready to finish him off, but Light crawls forward, desperately clinging to his life. Suddenly, the ground beneath him starts glowing, and Light realizes that he is in the middle of a teleportation circle. Drago notices it too and orders Garu to finish him off quickly. But before he can reach Light, the teleportation circle does its job and takes him away. However, the situation doesn't get much better for Light. Even after he is saved from the backstabbing traitors, the teleportation trap takes him to a random location in the dungeon, and he knows that the moment a monster finds him, he is dead. He begins to remember his family as he wonders what did he do to deserve being betrayed. He thinks about how nicely everyone treated him before they decided to backstab him. He now understands that their kind behavior was just an act, so he would completely believe them, and they showed their real colors at the end. He is really furious and channels his rage to become a reason to survive. He gets up swearing that he will get revenge on those bastards and tear them apart with his own hands. Well, before he can throw out more cuss words at them, Light hears a low growl coming from behind him. And as he turns around, he finds a level 1000 monster glaring at him. He freaks out on seeing the monster because it is something straight out of a fairy tale. Light realizes that he was teleported to the lowest floor of the dungeon, and he low-key had a better chance of surviving his party than this monster. As he wonders how can he even fight the monster, his thoughts wander to his gift ultimate gacha, and he decides to take his chances. He starts hitting the gacha button again and again, and suddenly his basic gift changes into something far beyond anything he ever imagined. A huge magic circle appears under him while the gacha device begins powering up. Light cannot understand what is happening, but just as the monster lunges at him, the gacha roll finishes. A level 9999 maidservant steps out of it and wipes out the monster in a single moment. Everything ends before Light can even blink. After that, the aura farming maid walks toward him. She kneels in front of him and heals all his injuries at once, saying she could not stand to watch his silky smooth skin get hurt, so she fixed everything without asking first. Light cannot believe that he is completely fine again. Then the maid asks for his name. He tells her he is Light, and the maid becomes thrilled after hearing it. She swears on the maid's code of honor that she will serve him until death. Light says that is fine, but she should at least tell him her own name first. The girl introduces herself as May, the ever-seeking maid, and explains that she came from a super ultra rare card inside his unlimited gacha. Light refuses to believe a level 9999 maid came out of his useless gift, but May asks if she may use her appraisal skill on his gift to read the hidden details. He gives her permission right away, and May uses her sharing ability to see that his power is covered by an extremely strong concealment, and anyone below her level cannot detect it. She tells Light that his ultimate gacha is far more valuable than he assumes. The cards it draws depend greatly on the mana density around him. She then reveals that there is another rarity tier even above her own super ultra rank. May explains that the mana density on the surface is very low, but deep in the dungeon the air is filled with mana, which allowed her to appear. She praises Light's courage for coming so far into the dungeon alone to unlock the full strength of his gift. Light tells her he is a failure who could not even reach the dungeon on his own. He starts crying while explaining how his party betrayed him inside the dungeon. He complains about how they talked about creating a world without discrimination just to deceive him, and he swears he will get revenge on them. May hugs him, saying she cannot fully grasp what he went through, but she will do anything he wants, and crushing the people who hurt him will not be hard for her. Light tells her she cannot do that, and not because of kindness. He wants to take revenge with his own hands, but it is impossible right now because he is too weak. He vows that he will make all of them suffer before ending them, and May kneels before him again, saying that if he wants the strength to get revenge, she will help him achieve it. She tells him she believes in what he can become, and Light can only thank her. Still, he is not satisfied with having only one overpowered ally in his growing harem, so he chooses to take advantage of the dense mana in the dungeon even further. He uses his unlimited gacha again, calling forth more high-class servants so he can form a kingdom that will act as the base for his grand revenge. 3 years have passed since the decisive day, and now Light reigns over hundreds of maids within a palace he built with his own hands. May is always by his side, just as she vowed on the day they first met. Every single maid is completely devoted to him, cheering whenever they see him and feeling happy just to be acknowledged by him. While May repeatedly tells them to maintain proper behavior, Light steps outside the castle and heads toward the local market. Everyone recognizes him there, with one vendor calling him over to share breakfast, while others inform him about a growing shortage of snack foods across the country. Light promises that he will handle the issue soon, while May reassures him not to worry about such minor matters, saying she will personally ensure that the logistics problems are resolved as quickly as possible. Light realizes that he will need to establish an entirely new logistics system, as the population of this land has increased several times over during the last 3 years. He asks May about the whereabouts of his other legendary summons, and May explains that Yuki, the beast tamer, is currently busy creating detailed maps of the areas near the dungeons, while also scouting the forests for any potential threats. Light briefly thinks about the monsters roaming those forests, but he knows they would not be a problem for a brilliant beast tamer like Yuki. May continues, explaining that Ellie the mage is deeply focused on developing special magic aligned with Light's grand plan. Light wonders if Ellie will truly be able to manage it, considering how complex the spells he requested are. He then asks about Naz the vampire knight, who excels in close combat but is somewhat lacking in intelligence otherwise. May replies that she assigned Naz to patrol the castle grounds, as it keeps her from overthinking and causing unnecessary trouble. Light does not mind her quirks, though, since she brings a bit of excitement to castle life. Soon after, they return to the castle, where Light is called over by Jack, the last of his 4 legendary summons, who asks if Light is ready for training. May looks slightly irritated and tells Jack that he should address Light properly by calling him master. Jack, however, is a true Sigma type who ignores such formalities entirely and pays her no attention. Light tells May that it is fine, explaining that he sees Jack as an older brother figure, and then says he will head to the training session with him. Inside the training grounds, the two prepare to spar. In a sudden burst of speed, Light dashes forward and drives his fist straight into Jack's rock-hard abs, sending him sliding backward from the sheer force. Jack looks pleased, remarking that any ordinary adventurer would have died from a blow like that. However, he can withstand it easily because his body is built like a fortress, capable of absorbing absurd amounts of damage. They clash again at the center of the arena, fists colliding before both of them leap back. Light follows up with a rapid barrage of punches, all of which Jack skillfully avoids. Meanwhile, Naz continues her patrol through the castle corridors, cheerfully bobbing her empty little head as she goes. She is greeted by several maids who begin flattering her, telling her that they feel completely safe knowing she is always on patrol, and making sure no danger is hiding nearby. Naz becomes extremely happy, which is exactly what the maids were hoping for. They decide to play a prank on her and suggest that she should check Light's bedroom to ensure it is properly secured, and that nothing suspicious is happening there. Naz thinks this is a wonderful idea and immediately heads toward the bedroom. When she tries to open the door, however, May steps out from inside. Naz asks May what she was doing in Light's bedroom, pointing out that he should still be at training right now. May instantly turns red and claims that she was simply cleaning the room while he was away. Naz insists that she still needs to inspect the room for any potential danger. Before May can stop her, Naz walks inside and notices that the bed is completely messy and disturbed. She airheadedly remarks that it looks like someone was lying on the bed, sniffing the pillows and rolling all over it, and asks May if she deliberately left it that way. May immediately decides to take advantage of Naz's empty mind, and boldly claims that it is her unique bed-making technique. Naz becomes impressed and asks if she can learn that method too, but May flatly refuses, saying it is a special professional secret that cannot be shared yet. At that moment, Naz suddenly remembers that the other maids wanted her to pass a message to May. She pulls out a parchment and hands it over, and May quickly realizes that the maids are rebelling against her for monopolizing Light's bedroom, and never allowing them to clean it even once. May tells Naz not to worry, assuring her that she will handle the issue herself, and even slips Naz some spare coins to keep her quiet. Naz happily accepts the money and walks away. She immediately heads to the market and starts checking out all the food she could buy with her new funds, but in the end, she decides on fluffy pancakes paired with fresh milk. With her purchase made, she cheerfully marches back toward the castle, where she spots Yuki sitting on top of a balcony. Naz asks Yuki if her forest work is finally done, sounding exhausted from dealing with her nonsense. Yuki shows her that she already completed the map Mei requested and has returned to deliver it. Naz congratulates her before heading back to her patrol duties, eventually entering the throne room. Once inside the gaudy hall, Naz starts shouting at the top of her lungs since there is no one around to stop her. She then jumps onto the throne itself and begins fiddling with it, accidentally snapping off one of the wings of an angel statue. Terrified of Mei finding out, she hurriedly sticks it back on in a sloppy manner and sprints out of the throne room as fast as she can. Back at the training grounds, Light and Jack continue exchanging blows when Jack suggests they call it a day and relax instead. They soon move to the bathing area, and inside the massive bathtub, Jack praises Light for mastering his skills so quickly. He says that Light has grown strong enough that most dungeon monsters would be nothing more than playthings for him, meaning only a handful of people on the surface could even challenge him. Still, Jack warns him that there are those who would try to erase him the moment they get the chance. Light grows serious as memories of the betrayal he suffered 3 years ago resurface, and he declares that he will not stop until he gets his revenge. Meanwhile, inside Mei's chambers, she summons the 4 troublesome maids and demands to know what their problem is as she reads their letter back to them. Standing in front of Mei herself, the 4 maids fall completely silent, unsure of what to say. They apologize, claiming that their actions were just a way to show concern since they know Mei is constantly overworked. Mei tells them not to worry about her duties and to focus on their own responsibilities instead. She firmly rejects their request to clean Light's bedroom, and punishes them by ordering them to scrub the long hallway leading to the throne room by hand. The maids are shocked, saying the hallway is far too long, but Mei tells them to keep working, as it will keep them occupied while she goes out on a mission with Light. Elsewhere, Naz is pressed up against the window of a shop, staring longingly at a gauntlet she wants to buy but cannot afford. While doing so, she bumps into Ellie, who asks what she is staring at so intensely. Naz points at the gauntlet and then asks why Ellie is back already when she is supposed to be overseeing the new construction project. Ellie replies that everything is progressing smoothly, so she decided to sneak in a short break. Before long, the two start arguing over who is closer to Light and who is more important to him. Ellie claims that she is directly involved in the revenge plan Light is preparing, unlike Naz. She smugly adds that she recently enjoyed a pleasant evening sharing tea with Light while discussing their progress, and confidently declares that next time, she plans to arrange a private dinner with him. Naz declares that she also wants to enjoy tea with the master someday, then tells Ellie that she specializes in close-quarters combat, so if Ellie ever needs help, she knows where to find her. Ellie smiles calmly and replies that she will definitely cash that favor in one day. With that exchange finished, Naz heads back to her brainless patrol duties. Back inside the castle, the 4 maids are busy scheming against Mei, grumbling that she is no better than an angry little mustached man from Germany. They even wonder if they should secretly go behind her back and snitch on her to Light. However, they quickly abandon the idea since none of them want to face Mei's wrath. One of them points out that Light cares so deeply for Mei because she was his very first summon, while the purple-haired maid adds that it took Light another 2 whole months before he finally summoned Yuki. That means Light and Mei were alone together in the dungeon for 2 entire months. The thought fills them with jealousy, and they start rolling around on the floor, acting strange and dramatic from envy. Eventually, they decide to try some voodoo magic, sitting around a table and chanting for Mei to die so she can be removed from the equation. Unfortunately for them, Mei overhears everything and storms into the room, trapping them on the spot. The maids immediately begin apologizing, saying they were only jealous and never truly meant the things they said. Mei tells them to stop imagining weird nonsense, explaining that during the months between her summoning and Yuki's arrival, Light was completely focused on learning every form of magic he could and practicing every martial art available to him. Because of that, they never had time for anything else. This explanation relieves the maids somewhat. Mei then adds that she actually came back because she thought she might have been too harsh on them earlier. But after hearing all this, she realizes she clearly was not harsh enough. So she orders them to clean the throne room as well. With no room to argue and completely at Mei's mercy, the maids have no choice but to obey and clean the entire throne room too. They decide to keep their mouths shut this time to avoid making things even worse. However, while dusting the throne, the green-haired idiot accidentally knocks over the broken piece of the angel wing that Naz damaged earlier. The fragment crashes onto the floor, and the maids freeze in horror, believing they are doomed and wondering what Mei will do to them now. The next morning, Light enters the dungeon and finds Naz, Ellie, and Yuki already waiting for him. He greets them cheerfully, while Naz and Ellie immediately start arguing as usual. Suddenly, a monster crawls out of the shadows, and Light freezes when he recognizes it as a hellhound. Even though he is far stronger than before, the trauma from that day still lingers, and his blood runs cold whenever he sees the beast. His party, however, reacts very differently. They become furious that the hellhound upset Light. Naz prepares to chop it into pieces. Ellie asks if she has permission to wipe out the entire hellhound species from existence. And Yuki calmly wonders if she could somehow locate hell itself and toss the creature into its deepest pit. The pressure from their sheer presence alone makes the monster whimper and retreat, realizing how hopelessly outmatched it is. Light slowly regains his composure and tells his party to calm down. He walks up to the monster and gently pats it, knowing full well that even a joke command from him could lead his legendary summons to truly erase an entire race. Turning back to them, he declares that it is time to head toward the surface, because today marks the beginning of their revenge plan. The story will be continued in future videos. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.